Welcome to the Ad Expert podcast. What if I told you that letting a single phone call ring to voicemail could, not only cost you $100 out of pocket today, but actually permanently downgrade your business's search ranking tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a pretty terrifying thought for a business owner.
Right. I mean, local digital marketing, it used to be as simple as turning on a faucet. You needed more customers, so you paid for some ads, turned the handle, and the leads just kind of flowed out.
Exactly. You put a dollar in, you got a specific measurable result out. It was a very linear, predictable machine.
Yeah, and you held all the levers. But looking at the landscape today, that simple faucet has basically been replaced by this massive automated municipal water treatment plant.
That's a really good way to put it.
We have algorithms turning the valves and AI predicting the water pressure based on 1 million invisible data points. And if you don't understand exactly how this new system operates, you're either going to face a severe drought in your business or, well, you're going to completely flood your marketing budget.
Yeah, the mechanics of local visibility have just structurally transformed. And we are really seeing the fallout of that transition hitting local businesses hard right now.
Which brings us to our mission for today. We are going to decode the massive shakeups hitting local digital marketing in 2026. And to get to the bottom of this, we're pulling from this really fascinating August 17th, 2026 report.
Right, the one titled, How Google Local Service Ads Work and Why They Cost More in 2026.
Exactly. And this intelligence comes directly from the team at Ad Expert, which is a premier Los Angeles-based online marketing and web development agency. They've got like over 10 years of experience in the trenches.
Yeah, they use a heavily data-driven, AI-powered approach, lots of live tracking and really precise copywriting to boost visibility.
And what's great is their geographical footprint makes this data incredibly valuable for us. They're headquartered out in Woodland Hills, but they actively serve some of the most competitive, high-density markets you can find.
Oh, for sure. Places like Calabasas, Winnetka, Tarzana, Encino, Sherman Oaks, West Hills, Reseda, Burbank, and Van Nuys.
Right. So understanding what's happening with marketing costs in those specific LA neighborhoods, I mean, it gives us a crystal clear picture of the future of local search everywhere.
It really does. It's the perfect microcosm.
So let's lay the foundation before we get into the wild changes of 2026. For anyone just catching up, what exactly are Google local service ads or, LSAs? And how do they fundamentally differ from the traditional Google ads we've been seeing for the last 20 years?
Well, the distinction really comes down to the actual mechanism of what you're paying for.
Okay.
Traditional Google ads, they operate on a pay-per-click model. You write an ad, someone searches a keyword, they click your link, and you pay Google a fee just for that website visit.
Right, which sounds fine until you realize that visitor might just browse your site for 3 seconds, get distracted by a text message, and leave.
Exactly. And you still paid for the click. But local service ads, they flip that script completely to a pay-per-lead model.
So they sit right at the very top of the search results page, right? Like above the map pack and above the traditional text ads.
Above absolutely everything. And the kicker is, you only pay when a qualified customer actually calls or messages your business directly through that specific ad unit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Google actually routes the call through a proxy number to track it. The whole design is meant to be completely frictionless for the searcher.
So they don't even have to visit your website.
Nope. They just see your verified badge, your star rating, and a big tap-to-call button right on their phone.
I mean, I can see why that sounds like an absolute dream for a local business owner. If I'm an emergency plumber operating in Van Nuys, I don't want website clicks at 2 in the morning from someone reading my About Us page.
No, definitely not.
I want a ringing phone from someone standing in a flooded kitchen. So it makes total sense why the entire home service industry jumped on the LSA bandwagon.
It was a gold rush, honestly.
But if it's such an effective system, what actually happened in August 2026 to suddenly complicate this whole ecosystem?
Well, Google initiated this massive infrastructure migration. They essentially retired the standalone local service ads dashboard entirely.
Oh.
Yeah, prior to August 2026, LSAs kind of lived in their own walled garden. But Google took this unique system and forcibly folded it into the main Google Ads platform.
Right.
Specifically, they categorized it as a specialized Performance Max campaign, which is often just called PMax.
And PMax is notoriously a black box, isn't it? Like, it's Google's heavily automated campaign type where you basically feed it assets and a budget, and the machine learning just decides where and when your ads show up across all of Google's inventory.
That underlying architecture is the absolute key here.
Hmm.
Google wants to unify all its advertising inventory under machine learning to maximize efficiency.
And frankly, to maximize their own ad revenue, I'm guessing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this migration, it wasn't just a fresh coat of paint or some minor UI update. It introduced three major operational shocks to how a local business actually acquires customers.
Okay, I know the first major shock was the loss of data, which is just brutal. When that standalone dashboard was retired, years of historical performance reports basically vanished for anyone who didn't manually export and download them beforehand.
Poof, gone.
We're talking about year-over-year cost per lead trends and seasonal demand patterns just getting wiped from the servers.
Yeah, that historical data wipeout
Yeah.
left a lot of operators flying completely blind. But you're right, that was just shock number one. Shock number two was the shift from weekly to daily budgets.
Right, because Google took away the weekly spending elasticity, didn't they?
Exactly. In the old system, you basically handed Google a weekly budget. So let's say it's $700 for the week.
Okay.
If search volume for roofers was incredibly low on a sunny Tuesday, but then this massive rainstorm hits Sherman Oaks on a busy Thursday night, the old algorithm had the elasticity to surge your spending on that Thursday.
To capture the massive spike in demand, right.
Right. But now, Google takes your weekly budget and forces it into a strict daily average.
So it strips away the system's flexibility to surge spending when actual consumer demand spikes.
Exactly. If your daily budget is capped at $100 and you hit that cap by 2 p.m. on that rainy Thursday because, I don't know, 4 people called you, your ads just vanish for the rest of the day.
Wow. So you completely missed the evening rush.
You do. Even though you mathematically have plenty of budget left for the rest of the week, you're artificially sidelined during your most profitable hours.
That is incredibly frustrating. But the Ad Expert report highlights a third shock that seems, honestly, even more disruptive to daily operations, and that's the death of manual bidding. Let's unpack the mechanics of this because this is big.
It's massive.
Under the old system, you could set a hard manual cap. You could explicitly tell Google, I refuse to pay more than $45 for a single plumbing lead.
Right. You had absolute granular control over your unit economics.
So using an analogy, the old system was like going to a restaurant and ordering a la carte. I want this specific burger, and I know it costs exactly $15.
I love that analogy.
But this new Performance Max system forces everyone into automated target CPA, or cost per action bidding. It feels like being forced to buy a combo meal. You just get a blended average price for the burger, the fries, and the drink, and you don't get to itemize or dictate what you're willing to pay for each individual component.
That's exactly how it works now. Under target CPA, you set one campaign level goal. So say $65. And Google's AI automatically adjusts your bids and real-time options to try and hit that blended average over the course of a month.
Right.
So sometimes it pays $30 for a lead, and sometimes it pays $100, just trusting the average will balance out.
Okay, wait. Let me push back on how that actually plays out for a multi-trade business. Let's unpack this. If I'm a contractor doing both plumbing and HVAC, and I have to set one blended target CPA of $65 for my entire campaign, doesn't that mean I'm basically forced to overpay for one type of lead just to get enough volume for the other?
Yes. It creates a massive structural inefficiency. Let's say a routine HVAC maintenance lead in your market is normally worth $30 to you, but an emergency plumbing lead is worth $100 because the ticket price is way higher.
Okay.
If you have a blended target of $65, the algorithm will massively overbid on those simple HVAC leads. You are willingly paying double what the HVAC lead is worth just so the algorithm has enough margin in the average to bid on the expensive, highly competitive plumbing leads later in the week.
Wow. So to get out of that combo meal trap, contractors are having to completely restructure their accounts. I mean, they have to split their services out into completely separate independent campaigns, right?
Yeah.
One for plumbing, one for HVAC.
Exactly. Just to maintain some semblance of financial control over their bids, it's a huge increase in operational overhead.
So we have lost data, inflexible daily budgets, and forced combo meal bidding. When you combine all these mechanical constraints, it creates the perfect storm for surging lead prices.
It really does.
And the Ad Expert report specifically isolated the LA market and found that LSA costs jumped 15 to 30% between 2024 and 2026.
Yeah, that price surge is huge, but it isn't happening in a vacuum, though. It's also being driven by pure market saturation.
Right, because the report mentions that back in 2022, only about 28% of home service contractors had even bothered to set up LSA profiles.
Yep.
But by late 2025, that adoption rate had ballooned to 70%. So you have more than double the competitors fighting for the exact same top 3 spots on the search page.
And the inventory hasn't changed. There are still only a few spots at the top of the phone screen, but the number of aggressive bidders has completely doubled.
Right.
And Google actually accelerated this hyper-competition with a subtle psychological shift back in October 2025. They took their 2 distinct trust badges, which were Google Guaranteed and Google Screened, and merged them into one universal Google Verified badge.
Oh, I remember that. But when every single competitor on the page has the exact same green check mark, the badge becomes completely commoditized. You lose that unique visual edge that used to make a searcher click your name over the guy next to you.
Exactly. And when visual differentiation disappears, consumers start looking for other signals, and businesses are just forced to compete harder on back-end metrics to win the auction.
Right.
And this is where Google's automated target CPA algorithm acts as an absolute accelerant to the pricing fire.
How exactly does the algorithm exploit that commoditization?
Well, the AI is fundamentally designed to maximize your lead volume up to the target cap you set. It is not designed to find you a bargain.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you tell the system your absolute maximum threshold is $80 a lead, the AI will bid aggressively until it hits that $80 mark in the auction. But more importantly, the algorithm now prioritizes what Google calls quality signals.
Let me stop you right there, because we hear terms like quality signals thrown around a lot. What is the AI actually looking at under the hood? How does it know a searcher is a premium, high-quality lead before they even tap the call button?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. The AI is processing this massive web of contextual data points in milliseconds. It looks at the user's geographic location down to the meter. It analyzes their search history over the last hour.
Wow.
So if a user in Encino frantically searches for how to stop a bursting pipe, watches a 10-second YouTube video on shutting off water valves, and then searches for plumber near me, the AI knows with near certainty that this user has incredibly high intent to book a job immediately.
So the AI identifies the most desperate, ready-to-buy customers in real time.
Yes, and because the algorithm knows this is a high-converting lead, an absolute hyper-competitive bidding war breaks out behind the scenes among all the contractors using automated bidding.
Because everyone wants that lead.
Exactly. The AI pushes the cost of that specific click to the absolute ceiling because everyone's system is trying to grab the sure thing.
Bringing this down to the real-world space, I want to list out some of Ad Expert's 2026 LA benchmarks so you can really grasp what it actually costs to play this game right now.
The numbers are pretty eye-opening.
For plumbing emergencies, you are looking at $45 to $95 just for a single lead. Roofing. That spikes to between $60 and $150 during a winter storm.
Yeah.
Electrical is running $50 to $100. Even a basic locksmith lockout is going to cost you $30 to $70.
And those numbers are staggering when you remember that you are paying that fee just for the phone call to connect. It does not guarantee the caller will actually hire you.
Right. So how does any local business survive paying $100 for a phone call? If I'm paying out $100 every time my phone rings, I feel like I go bankrupt in a week.
Well, the dividing line between the businesses that thrive and the ones that just burn through their cash reserves comes down to a shift in metrics.
Okay.
Smart business operators don't actually look at cost per lead, or CPL. They run their entire operation based on cost per completed job.
So break the math down for us on how cost per completed job works in practice.
Sure. Let's assume you pay $50 for a lead. A lot of inexperienced business owners write down $50 in their ledger and assume that's their customer acquisition cost.
Right.
But what if only 60% of the people who call you actually end up booking a job? Some callers are outside your actual service area. Some think your hourly rate is too high. And, some are just price shopping and decide to go with someone else.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
So if you spend $1,000 on Google to get 20 leads at $50 each, but you only successfully book and complete 12 jobs, your true acquisition cost for that completed job is $83. It is not $50.
Okay, but let me push back on that a little bit. If I'm doing a plumbing job that pays me $300, I'm still making a solid profit. Does an extra $33 in acquisition costs really hurt the business that much in the grand scheme of things?
It absolutely destroys your margins at scale. when you factor in your operational reality. I mean, that $300 in revenue is not pure profit.
Sure.
You have to pay the plumber's hourly wage, the cost of the parts, fuel for the truck, insurance, and wear and tear on your equipment. Your actual profit margin on that $300 job might only be $120.
Wow. Okay.
So if your acquisition cost secretly creeps from $50 up to $83 because your closing rate is slipping, you just lost nearly a third of your actual take-home profit.
That is painful.
If your close rate drops any further, you are literally paying Google for the privilege of going to work.
And if you have a multi-trade setup, the bleeding can be completely hidden in the averages, right? Like, let's say your emergency plumbing calls convert at 70% because people are desperate, but your routine HVAC calls only convert at 40% because people are shopping around for the best maintenance deal. If you're only looking at a blended conversion rate across your entire company, that HVAC department could be secretly draining your profit margins without you even realizing it.
The math becomes totally ruthless. You cannot control the auction price that Google's AI sets, but you have 100% control over what you do the second that phone rings.
Right.
Optimizing your internal operations is now just as critical as the ad spend itself if you want to stay profitable in an expensive market like LA.
So having faster dispatch, better phone scripts, and, training your team on sales tactics isn't just about good customer service anymore. It's a structural requirement to survive the Google auction.
100%.
Which brings us to the most actionable part of this deep dive. Now that we understand the high stakes, these combo meal constraints, and the brutal math of profitability, how does a business actually game this new 2026 LSA system? Like, how do you signal to the algorithm that you deserve to rank higher while paying less?
Well, the number one rule that has emerged in 2026 is that speed is king. We're talking about the metric of speed to lead.
Okay.
Because Google routes the LSA calls through their own tracking numbers, they are actively monitoring your response time. Answering incoming calls within 30 seconds is now a major ranking factor in the algorithm.
30 seconds. I mean, that is an incredibly tight window for a small business.
It is entirely unforgiving. If you are a solopreneur currently under a sink covered in grease and you let that LSA call go to voicemail, your search ranking instantly drops.
You're kidding.
No, the algorithm literally demotes your business because it assumes you provide a poor customer experience, and Google refuses to send traffic to a business that doesn't pick up the phone.
I mean, it makes sense from Google's perspective. They want the searcher to find a solution instantly so they keep using Google.
Right.
But it's not just about speed, though. The Ad Expert report heavily emphasizes review velocity. It's no longer enough to just have a perfect 5-star rating from 3 years ago, is it?
Not at all. The algorithm vastly favors recency and volume over a perfect historical score.
Interesting.
Yeah, a local business with 150 reviews averaging 4.8 stars that consistently gets 2 new reviews every single week, they will absolutely crush a competitor with 30 flawless 5.0 star reviews who hasn't received a new one in 6 months.
Wow. So it creates this classic rich get richer feedback loop. Earning more reviews gets you higher rankings, which feeds you more leads, which then gives you more opportunities to ask for recent reviews. It builds massive algorithmic momentum.
Exactly.
And the report notes that geographic proximity matching is much stricter now, too.
Location precision is absolutely paramount. If you set your LSA service area to claim all of LA County, but your physical business address is in Pasadena and you only ever accept jobs within a 5-mile radius of Pasadena, the algorithm will actually penalize you.
Right, because you are confusing the matching AI by claiming territory you don't actually service, which lowers your conversion rate and just hurts your overall quality score.
Precisely. You have to be incredibly precise with your targeting. But speaking of the AI, there is a major financial lifeline built into the system that a shocking number of businesses just ignore.
Oh.
The Rate This Lead tool. This is the mechanism for disputing bad leads, and it is crucial for your margins.
Wait, I thought Google rolled out their lead quality AI back in 2024 to automatically screen out spam, wrong numbers, and out-of-area calls. If the machine learning is already screening for spam, why on earth do I need to spend time manually disputing leads?
Because the AI is far from perfect.
Yeah.
And more importantly, it requires human feedback to train its models.
Okay, that makes sense.
If a customer from outside your tight Pasadena service area calls you, and you don't take the time to manually dispute that lead and ask Google for a refund, the AI logs that interaction as a success.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it assumes, Oh, they must have wanted that lead. I'll send them more callers from that far-out zip code.
So you're literally paying for bad leads twice. You lose the $70 on the initial bogus call, and you lose future revenue by actively training the AI to send you more garbage traffic.
Exactly. And the ad expert data shows that disciplined disputing, going in and manually marking spam or explaining exactly why a lead was out of your service scope, it can successfully recover 5 to 15% of your gross ad spend.
That is massive. That is pure margin sitting on the table, and it teaches the algorithm to stop serving your ads to unqualified searchers.
Yes, recovering 15% of a large ad budget could legitimately be the difference between making payroll or not.
Totally. And there's one more lifeline you have to maintain, which serves as the anchor for this entire system, right? Your Google Business Profile, or GBP.
Oh, yeah. Your LSA campaign does not exist in a vacuum. It is entirely dependent on your Google business profile. They're inextricably linked at the database level.
Right.
The customer reviews, the photos of your team, and your hours of operation on your GBP feed directly into what populates your LSA listing.
So if your Google Business Profile gets suspended, like maybe you committed a minor policy violation or someone made a rogue edit to your address or, you failed a video verification, what happens to your ad spend?
Your ads pause immediately.
Wow.
Your entire lead generation engine shuts down the second your GBP goes offline,
I know.
and it will not turn back on until you navigate the appeals process and get your profile reinstated. Maintaining the health and accuracy of that profile is completely non-negotiable.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, the landscape of local service ads in 2026 is undoubtedly more expensive, it is heavily automated, and it has stripped away a massive amount of the old manual bidding controls. The days where you could just set it and forget it are completely dead.
Very dead.
However, this ecosystem is still incredibly lucrative for businesses that choose to be proactive. If you generate high review velocity, if you implement ruthless 30-second response times for every call, and if you aggressively manage your Google business profile and actively dispute bad leads to train the AI, you can still absolutely dominate your local market.
It demands a much higher level of operational discipline than it did 5 years ago, for sure. But the ultimate reward is capturing the highest intent customers on the internet exactly at the moment they need your services.
So if you are operating a business in the LA area, whether you are based in Woodland Hills, Tarzana, Burbank, or anywhere in between, and you're feeling overwhelmed by this Performance Max migration or the rising acquisition costs we just mapped out, remember that the team at AdExpert offers free consultations. They can actually sit down with you, audit your specific data, and help you calculate your true cost per completed job to ensure your margins are actually healthy.
It's super valuable. And, this whole transition raises an important question, though, and it's something I really want to leave you pondering.
Let's hear it.
We've explored how Google's AI now heavily predicts which leads will convert based on your business's historical velocity, your review recency, and your phone responsiveness, right?
All right.
Right.
It's constantly judging your performance.
Exactly. We are entering a phase where the algorithm literally decides the winners and losers of local commerce. It creates this fascinating, almost existential paradox for small businesses.
How so?
Well, imagine you have one terrible week. Maybe your primary dispatcher comes down with the flu, your average response time drops to 2 minutes, and the AI decides you provide a bad experience. If the algorithm suddenly stops sending you leads as punishment, how do you ever prove to the machine that you've fixed the problem and improved if the machine won't give you the leads to prove it with?
That is a chilling thought. You are no longer just proving your worth to the customer in the home. You have to constantly prove your worth to a black box AI that basically controls the community's water supply. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, keep optimizing your operations, and remember, don't let the algorithm catch you sleeping at the municipal water plant. We'll catch you next time.